people are giving this 5 stars. Like why? Like literally, why? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm actually reviewing the new DCEU film. I guess not new because there was a 2017 version, but the Snyder cut film of Justice League. So before I start, I actually just want to say these are my opinions. Everyone's got their own opinions. My opinion is not more valid than yours. Please do not come for me. All that stuff, because, as I just kind of said, lots of people are giving this 5 out of 5 stars. I don't personally agree with that, like, at all. But yeah, so I'm actually going to divide this into a good and a bad section, but actually before that, I shall be doing a spoiler-free version, just in case if you haven't seen the movie and you kind of want to know a few things before going into it, if you decide to watch it. So the first thing is the fight scenes in this movie. They were actually really good. Like, I don't really know what else to say. They're very entertaining. They're very well shot. Also, I guess with the fighting scenes as well, Wonder Woman, she's actually really good in this. I saw 1984 with her in it, and she was way better in this movie. So if you didn't like her in 1984, you might love her in this movie because her fight scenes are very well choreographed and really show off her power, so I really love that about her. The CGI of this film is actually also really good as well, especially for the character Steppenwolf. I haven't seen the 2017 version, so I really can't compare, but from the trailers of Steppenwolf in 2017 versus the one in 2021, he is so much better with the CGI. It's like off the charts. There's actually really only two like small-ish type things that I had like a little trouble with when it comes to the CGI, but other than that, it was like amazing, honestly. Like, even with the character Cyborg, I'm not really sure how the CGI was in the 2017 version, but in the 2021 version, it was really good. I don't know, it kind of looked like, in a sense, a little CGI. Like, obviously, there's a character who's, you obviously know there's a lot of CGI, but it looked really realistic, so I really like that as well. Furthermore, the lighting in this film was actually stellar as well. I know with the 2017 version, it was like really dark, and probably that's maybe because they didn't have like the budget for some CGI stuff, so they just had some stuff darker, so they wouldn't really have to fill it in. But with this, just there's a lot more light, even when there are like scenes that are taken place in the dark. So I thought that was really good as well. The cameos in this movie were actually really surprising, I guess, as well. Like, I didn't see it coming that some characters would like have a little cameo in it, and I really loved that, especially because it like opens up the possibility for other future films with some characters, because they're now introduced into this film, which I really enjoyed. However, I do want to say one thing before going into this film. It's 4 hours long. I think we all know that. Get ready to skip a lot, because there is some stuff in the movie that you might get bored by, or just like, you're like, what's the point of this? Skip. And so, you might skip that part. So get ready. I clicked the skip button a few times, so you might have to as well. So possibly get ready for that. And then also, this film is shot in 4:3, which personally, it's a director's choice, I can't really, do anything about that. Personally for me though, I really kind of thought that wasn't exactly the best way to show this film, because it's obviously supposed to be the first major team up of DCEU like characters, so you really want full screen IMAX, whatever, all that stuff. And so having that in a 4:3, which is very like kind of boxy, I thought was really kind of sucky, honestly. And I watched this actually on my iPad because it gave the full screen effect. Because when I tried to watch it on other things, it was like a very small portion of the screen. So if you have any tablet, I would try that, because then you can get the full screen effect. So that's like really good, I guess, to actually enjoying the film. But that's really all I have for all, I guess, the non-spoilery things. So, if me saying what I said convinced you to go see the film, go see the film. So now we are entering into spoiler territory. So if you don't want this film spoiled for you, click off now, okay? I'm spoiling it. Okay, so everyone who stayed, question, did you watch this film in one whole day? Because I did not. It took me 2 days. And here's the thing. No film should take 2 days to watch. That's like a fact. Cause either it should be short enough for you to be able to like watch it in one take or like one sitting or whatever. Or if it's longer, 4 hours, you should be able to hold my attention for 4 hours. Like you should not be making a film that's 4 hours long and being like, oh yeah, it's kind of boring. There's a lot of boring parts, guys. Like we all have to admit it. We all have to admit there are some boring parts in this film. I think at least 30 minutes of this film could have been cut for sure because there's a lot of setup for other films in this movie that do not push the plot forward at all. Like, could have been taken out or could have been shortened or whatever. But, so, I actually do want to break this, I guess, spoiler section into two parts, the good and the bad. I'm going to start with the good so you guys can first see that I didn't like parts of the film before you come at me for parts I didn't like, because I don't know, there were a lot of parts that I didn't like. Like, if I had to rate this film, I would give it maybe, I don't know, 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10. And I don't know, comparing this, because I know some people might compare it to Avengers Endgame, because it's like, the most recent Marvel, like, team up movie. But personally, I think it's like more, you would want to relate it more to like the first Avengers. And if you were to compare it to the first Avengers, I would give it like comparatively to the first Avengers, 6 out of 10. Because the first Avengers just, I don't know, there was more comedy. It was better lit, honestly. There wasn't really a tease of a big bad like this film very much did, and also just so the end fight scene in Justice League was very. It was a Superman fight. It was just Superman fighting Steppenwolf, but I'll get into that more when I get into the bad. But let me first get into the good because yeah, all films have some good in them. Let's say that. So, as I talked about before in my spoiler free section, the CGI in this film was amazing. Uh, and so were like obviously all the cameos, especially the part where, there's like the little kind of flash sideways to the Injustice world. I thought that was excellent. I thought that was super awesome to introduce it in that plot, especially because it seems like maybe for like a Justice League 2 or 3, if they ever make it, who knows? Because obviously a lot of things are in the air with Warner Brothers. It could follow kind of a similar plot to the first Injustice video game, which is probably based on some comic. I don't read the comics, but that sounds very exciting to do because they obviously introduced Joker, and well, I guess they've already introduced Joker and Suicide Squad, but they've introduced Deathstroke, which I hope something goes with that. Because so I was doing a little googling afterwards, and there seems like there possibly might be a Deathstroke film. It doesn't seem like it though, because from what the actor Joe Manganiello said about his character, is that it's not a priority for Warner Brothers to make a film. So who knows if there's ever going to be a solo, maybe backstory film on his character. But he did say that he was optimistic to see him in other like DCU films, which I think would be super cool to see for sure. Especially since they seem to like have dropped the ball when it came to like the assassin type characters, because like in Suicides, well, there was Deadshot played by Will Smith, and that wasn't exactly amazing. So, furthermore, for the cameo, seeing Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and then 10 like it's not really a cameo, it's more of like an actual character, but seeing Ryan Choi in it was, I think, really awesome. Seeing the Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter was really cool because obviously with the Green Lantern, that obviously means that the Green Lantern Corps exists. And I think they're actually already making a film or a TV show based around that. I'm not exactly sure. As I said, Warner Bros. Is all up in the air with a lot of things. But also with Martian Manhunter, they could make a film about him, which would actually be really cool to see because actually, personally for me, I don't know that much about Martian Manhunter except like a little from Supergirl as I watched a few of the first seasons when they came out. So, kind of know a little about him, but, I want to know more. So I'd love to see a film with him. And then with Ryan Choi as the Atom, so obviously he seems like an actual main character, or not like a main character, but like a side character in the film. So even though he really didn't get that much development, which is fine, but I was kind of wishing that they would give maybe like a little hint to like the fact that he is Adam, maybe see a costume, maybe say, oh yeah, something Adams or something like that, like a little nod to the audience. Uh, so who knows if that will ever happen? I actually did read somewhere that Zack Snyder actually did pitch an Adam like solo movie with the character Ryan Choi. So if that were to ever go through, that would also be really cool because again, I don't know that much about him, except for again from the CW and their DC shows, Legends of Tomorrow. We know a little from the Atom, which is Roy Palmer. So if we could see Ryan Choi's Roy Palmer, and then also with the fact that we do now know that these two worlds are in the same universe because we all saw where, and I guess this is a spoiler for The Flash. If you're watching The Flash, and I'm sorry that I'm gonna spoil it right now, but we are in the spoiler section. So there was the part where Ezra Miller's Flash just kind of hops into the universe where Grant Gustin's the Flash is. So these worlds are interconnected. And I think everyone already knows that because I think also for the Netflix show Lucifer, that's also connected into the DCEU. So there's a lot of characters. There's a lot that could be done, which would be very interesting to see. Also, so I wasn't exactly sure if I should put this in the spoiler free section, but better safe than sorry. These characters obviously way more fleshed out, just objectively, compared to the 2017 version, probably way more. I've never seen, as I keep saying, but objectively they were really fleshed out, which in a sense, the way that they did flesh out the characters was a little bit of a problem because as I was talking about how they could cut some time off the film, there was a lot of scenes where they did like half flesh out the characters, but it was just solely for fleshing out the characters and not really pushing the film forward, which is kind of fine. It's just I don't know, kind of wish they did which is fine because obviously you want fleshed out characters in your film because we'll obviously be seeing these characters in future films. Like, not all of them, because I heard Ben Affleck quit the Batman, but like characters like Aquaman, Cyborg, The Flash, So happy that they got fleshed out a bit. And again, as I said in my spoiler free section, the fight scenes were amazing. My favorite one, I think probably everyone's favorite one, honestly, was the fight scene where Diana is telling the story to Bruce about like how Darkseid once came to Earth, and then everyone teamed up, the Themyscians, the Atlanteans, humans, and Nolan gods, and they had like this Avengers Endgame style battle, which I thought was super cool to see. However, I also kind of did think that was maybe like a possible setup to like what was gonna happen at the end of the film, like during the epilogue. I guess I was wrong. That's fine. We all make mistakes. But that could be something that's seen in the second Justice League or maybe the third Justice League. Who knows? Who knows? But my point is that fight scene was super cool. Just seeing all these characters battle it out, even though we don't even know these characters, so we don't really have the emotional connection like we did in Endgame to like certain characters fighting. It was just really cool to see this because there were lots of like little nods. Obviously, because the Green Lantern was there, or not like the Green Lantern, a Green Lantern. I'm not exactly sure like if the Green I know the Green Lanterns have different names because I know there's John Stewart, but I don't know what the Green Lantern in that one or that Green Lantern is called. So if someone wants to tell me down in the comments, that'd be much appreciated. Also, on that note, with the fight scenes, so in the end of the film, where like they fail at stopping the mother boxes from unifying, and then Barry goes back in time, I thought that was such a cool scene to show like time going backwards. I don't know why it was a very inventive way to do it, and I really did enjoy it to see like kind of how he's going back in time. So I think that was like also amazing, and then just in general, all the CGI with Ezra Miller's The Flash was I think incredible, especially the scene where you first see him use his powers at the dog shop, where like he like pushes the glass and then like bends and then snaps and then he's running around and he's saving Iris and getting like the hot dog for the dogs. And I thought that was awesome to see that because it was just so, I don't know, it was so fluid and it was so immersive. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just really good and I really liked it. The score of the film actually was really cool as well. It was very much, I don't even know how to describe it, very like kind of poetic because it obviously seemed like there was just a soundtrack that kind of fit with every scene, starting with like at the beginning where Superman is just screaming and you hear his echoes and there's like that song that's played over. And I know that there are some people who are like, film, or not film, sorry, music. Music doesn't really change how a scene is, if it's good or great or whatever. Personally, for me, I thought that that really kind of elevated each scene because it was really, I don't even know, it was just, it was a poetic soundtrack, which I think did actually elevate the film in general as well. So now on to the bad. And let me just say one more time. These are my opinions. So don't get mad at me. These are my opinions. Okay, don't blame me. Everyone's got their own opinions. I don't know how much I can keep saying it. But yeah. So the first thing, it's not exactly like a bad thing, but the CGI. So there are two parts where I was like, the CGI isn't amazing. So the first one is after Clark, he gets his black Superman suit and then he just hops into space pretty much, and then he like faces the camera and then turns away. Obviously that whole scene was CGI, which totally fine. But his face, it was just so, I don't even know. I like the way that I just could describe it, and the way I kind of compared it to was like if I tried to make a sim of Henry Cavill, that's what I would get. And so that was, a little strange to see. And then also another one where is also a human face was the part where Diana, where she is fighting Steppenwolf, and then she like hops over him and she's like facing him, and then it's like cameras like kind of like on the ground looking up at her. Her face, again, it looks like a sim. Like if I'm trying to make a sim of Gal Gadot, that would be what it would look like. So those two things. Other than that, it was it was fine, but it was a little confusing because like they could have, I don't know, they could have got the actors to do those scenes, or obviously maybe a stunt double, and then they could have just CGI'd in everything else. Especially with all the scenes of Ezra Miller's The Flash, I kind of expected more because they could have CGI'd those scenes, but they didn't. So why did they CGI these other scenes? So that was a little strange, in my opinion. Also, as I talked about before, the lighting of the film. So, as I did say, the lighting was good. However, I kind of wish that was better, and by better, I mean brighter, or maybe like a color palette differentiation or something like that. And I think that there could have been like maybe gone from like a sat or a desaturated like color palette at the beginning, and as the film continues, it gets more saturated as the team is growing, and there's like a light at the end of the tunnel, and so it can kind of reflect the team mentality of like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna win, and whatever. Especially like they got Superman on their team, which is a whole thing. Him fighting Steppenwolf is a whole thing that I didn't like, but I will get to that very soon. Another thing that I really didn't like about this film was, so this film is cut up into 8 sections, which it's fine, it's whatever. Except here's the thing. So, well, more like 7 sections because the 8th section is uncredited, but that's whatever. So, in the 7 sections, there's a line stated, and then that's said by the character one time. Personally, I think that that was kind of dumb because it didn't really feel like it related to the scene. So I don't know, I didn't like it. It was very kind of, I don't know, annoying, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it better. It was just, I don't know, I feel like there could have been more fitting titles for each section of the film. So let's talk about the plot itself. So there are multiple times in the plot where it could have been cut, as I keep talking about, and I have a few specifics that they could have done. Number one, when Barry goes to see his father in prison for the first time, they could have taken that out. There's no point seeing that, except obviously, yes, to set up the Flash movie, but I feel like there could have been something about where his dad's like, oh, join Batman's team, or something like that. Really could have pushed the plot forward, been like, oh, maybe Barry doesn't want to join the team, because, I don't know, maybe he thinks he might die, and then, he'll never be able to release his father from jail, or something like that, Number two, in the same vein as before, Arthur wanting to not be the king of Atlantis. Might be a continuation of Aquaman. I'm not really sure. I never saw the film. However, there was nothing about like how that really like pushes the plot forward. I feel like there could have been something about where he doesn't want to join the team and someone's like family is everything, teamwork is everything or whatever. Because obviously at the end of the film he goes to see his father. So I feel like there could have been something with him not wanting to be the king of Atlantis. Someone being like, teamwork is everything, Arthur. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna join the Justice League. I don't know. I feel like they could have done that better. Number 3, very similar to the first two. Again, Cyborg not wanting to join the team. So the reason that he wants to join the team, there is obviously very good reasoning. His father Silas is taken by the parademons, and he's like, "Oh, I wanna go find my father." Obviously, that makes sense. Here's the thing, though. There was something that I really hate with that, which I feel like they could have cut as well. Number 4, the parademons. So they're trying to abduct everyone. That's cool. Do your stuff. Abduct people. Here's the thing. So when they try to get the mother box for the first time from Cyborg, and he's like got his like hand gun arm thing ready to shoot, and then people are like, "Oh my god, what is that?" And they point to the parademon, and the parademon's like, "Eh," and goes away. Um, why? The parademon is literally abducting people. It like does not care if someone sees it, especially because they could have just cut that whole scene out with Cyborg and the parademon, because the parademon then comes back and takes Silas away. And like that could have been like all fine. And the whole thing about that with like people are like, "Oh my god, the parademon kind of looks like Batman." They could have done something where after Silas is taken, Gordon could have been like, "Yo, Batman, do you know who's abducting all these people?" Or someone could have seen Silas get taken, and then they could have been like, "Oh my god, Batman, why are you abducting so many people?" That could have been better. So I feel like they could have cut that scene out because I feel like that was pointless. And then also, I guess, as well, kind of a little thing with that as well. The whole scene where Cyborg goes to meet Diana, I feel like that, is kind of in the similar vein of number 3 about how he doesn't want to join the team. I feel like there wasn't that good of a reasoning for why he didn't want to join the team. Number 5. Yes, I still have more. So, anytime with Lois Lane, yeah, I get it. She's depressed. Obviously, that makes sense. Her boyfriend was taken from her, literally killed in front of her or near her or something like that. I don't really know. I feel like most of the scenes though with her were just they were boring, and there was no point of them being there. And the only time she really became relevant was when Martha, even though it wasn't actually Martha, it was Martian Manhunter using his abilities, goes to talk to her, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go report," and then she stops Superman from just killing everyone. So, good for her. But I feel like her involvement of the film was pointless up until that part, and I feel like maybe they could have done something a little better. Maybe she wants to, I don't know, team up with Bruce and do something. I don't really know. I feel those scenes could have been taken out or something like that, because we understand if your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner is killed in front of you, we understand that that would lead you to be depressed. We don't need to see multiple cuts of her just doing absolutely nothing. Like, I think it kind of makes sense that she'd be depressed. Number 6, last one. So the scene where the first mother box is being taken from Themyscira, Queen. Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting how to say her name. Like Hippolyta, Queen Hippolyta. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm not exactly sure. I hope that's correct. So she's like, "Oh yeah, knock all the beams down and stuff," and then like the little temple thing, like just tanks into the ocean. Why? Okay, first off, why was that scene there? Because that obviously shown that the queen, doesn't care about the people, because they would all drown. Because here's the thing, I knew 100% Steppenwolf was just gonna just jump out of that, and he did. And you know what? She wouldn't have had to drown other Amazons, because Steppenwolf did not. I don't know. Personally, for me, it didn't seem like he was really after killing people. He was just after the mother boxes. So Darkseid could kill everyone, I guess. So uh, but she just made her soldiers drown, and I feel like that was like really dumb and really mean of her to just, let her soldiers die. And by let them die, I mean purposely kind of kill them. Especially because when you're falling, it's hard to kill winged things, whatever the parademons are. They flew out of there. The Amazons cannot fly, so again, they're drowning. However, I do want to say there are 2 points in the film which do not push the plot forward, which I think are totally fine. And I want to say this. So the two scenes in the epilogue, the first scene with Arthur, and he's like, "Oh, I want to go see my father." I think that is perfectly fine. And then the second one is when Barry goes to see his father for the second time in prison. I think that is also, it's fine because it's in the epilogue. So there wasn't really any character motivation. There's more like character tie-ups. So yeah, I think those two scenes were totally fine for not pushing the plot forward. I guess, well, pushing the plot forward for other films. But in this film specifically, it was fine. But I would like to address another big problem of the film. So, Superman. Two scenes where he's resurrected and then where he fights Steppenwolf. So, first off, the scene where he's resurrected. So, we obviously learn the mother boxes can kind of like rearrange atoms or something like that because the metaphor, analogy, whatever, is a match can turn a house into smoke, but a mother box can turn smoke into a house. So we understand the properties of the mother box. Here's the thing, though: you're not changing any atoms in Superman per se because he's not blown to bits, and they're not like reassembling him with the mother boxes. They're resurrecting him, and you're not, in a sense, taking any atoms and changing them. Maybe you are. Maybe that's like some, like, I don't know, anatomy thing. I don't really know, but I feel like that kind of didn't make sense to what they were doing with Superman because if the mother boxes have the ability to rearrange atoms, how can you rearrange atoms to give someone a new life? So, I was a little confused. Maybe there might be a perfectly reasonable explanation for that. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. But the other scene with Superman, so where he's fighting Steppenwolf. So, okay, comparing this to Avengers Endgame, that one was better because here's the thing: Tony, Steve, and Thor, like, do actually team up and they use their abilities in like combo moves to attack Thanos. And in this movie, it's just like Diana and Arthur kind of step back to let Superman just beat the crap out of Steppenwolf. And I'm just like, I what I it was dumb because like it was inevitable of who was gonna win. Like it's super obvious that Superman's gonna kill Steppenwolf, even though he didn't. It was Diana, but he could have easily killed Steppenwolf. Like, well, probably doing something else or something. I don't even know, but just the fact that there was such inevitability of who would win the battle, it ruined the battle. It ruined the final battle. And I would kind of compare this to the scene or the opening scene of where we see Diana for the first time, where she's using her bracelets and she's kicking everyone and stuff when she's dealing with the terrorists. But here's the thing: this is the final battle. This is an important battle. The other battle with Diana, where she's like kicking butt, and it's obvious of who's gonna win, is a character setup. And the final battle, if it's super obvious of who's gonna win, it doesn't really make it enjoyable to watch. Also, another thing. So I thought there was gonna be a face-off between Darkseid and everyone else. Maybe I was just like missing some signs, but just from the way that I guess Warner Brothers and HBO Max promoted it, it seemed like it with all these posters, the tagline saying "New story, new villain." I thought that Darkseid was gonna be in the epilogue or something, and I feel like this tease was really dumb because it did not pay off, and I was kind of really mad because I did want to see, especially after Superman just beats the crap out of Steppenwolf. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's like a level 1 boss. Now let's see Superman go against Darkseid. That's gonna be way harder. That's gonna be a question of, okay, who's actually gonna win? So maybe I was just being dumb and I was reading too much into the signs. Who knows? To conclude, is this movie terrible? No, not at all. Could this movie have been improved in multiple ways? Very much so. Would I watch a sequel if they ever made one? Who knows? I'm never gonna spend another 4 hours watching a film though, so they better keep it under 4 hours. Actually, under 3. Under 3, actually, unless it's like 3 hours, 2 minutes, something like that. But all things said, this film, is better than the original one, assumingly. It's, it seems a lot better. It was enjoyable to watch, There were good fight scenes, CGI was good, and all that jazz. So, yeah. However, I do want to say this. I think a lot of people are giving this movie way more credit than it deserves because they're looking at this film in a comparative lens instead of an objective lens. Because they're comparing this to the first movie, which, it can make sense. But here's the thing. For someone like me who hasn't seen the first one, when I'm like told, oh, it's 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, no, because that's gonna ruin the film for me. If the film was like at 85% by audiences, that would make a lot more sense. Because this 97 on Rotten Tomatoes is not justified at all, and it will 100%, well, I think it will 100% ruin the experience of someone who hasn't seen the first movie and is expecting a movie that's at 97% on Rotten Tomatoes by the audience score and doesn't get that. So I feel like some people should kind of recognize that they are looking at this film in a comparative lens compared to a objective lens. So, concluding statement. It was better than Suicide Squad at least. Thank you everyone who stayed until the end. Like, share, comment down below telling me if the Snyder Cut was actually good and maybe I'm just crazy for ripping it apart. And subscribe if you like what I'm doing here. But until next time, peace.